we don't have anything
You want to do the minutes? of
Nothing
these?
tabled.
Oh, minutes, we should
Yeah,
approve the
let's do
minutes.
that next.
Actually, 2 months worth of minutes, right?
Yes, well, it was July and
Yeah, sorry
September,
about that.
correct?
Here, Mike.
Thanks. Thank you. All right, let's start with July. We didn't do that motion, obviously, right? Last month.
No,
No.
we didn't have a copy, someone needed a copy, so.
Someone needed, wanted to.
I'll make a motion to approve as written
And I'll second
for
it.
July.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Probably not. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, last month, September's. Any corrections or,
I'll make a motion to accept it.
I'll second.
all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Nice job again, Allison, always nice.
Yeah, seriously, very nice. Okay, we got two whole matters.
Two very important matters, right?
Yes. Hey, they are to the applicants.
That's right.
It's important to us. So, any questions on, they're pretty straightforward. You got questions on one?
The only thing that I would say, I told Andrews probably can take this
Oh,
one,
yeah, I'll
because this is
take the
Carol's.
first one.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on here, it says 2.3 foot variance, and on their sheet, letter of intent, it says 1.25.
Okay.
So which one's correct?
Yep.
Mine is correct,
That's right.
because
So they needed more than what,
they were, well,
you can come back here and listen if you'd like. I mean, you're
Or maybe
more
it's
than
because the
welcome.
lot is.
This is open
Well,
to
the
the
lot
public, in
tapers there,
fact,
we're
it's
towards the back.
televised, so.
All right, take that front
That's
row,
why.
it's probably-
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to sit up there and kind of,
We can't put you at the table.
Hey, Joe, it's because the lot tapers.
Ken,
is that what it
One
is?
end
and I think I
measure
told
from
you about the way the property line and the side of the house sort of come together at the rear.
Yeah,
And the surveyor that you originally had for the property gave us a dimension from the front of the structure versus the back of the structure, which is closer.
Yeah.
And I contacted him, and he gave me that change,
That
which
other
was
dimension.
15.7 at the back, which is why there's that difference between what
Okay.
he
Okay.
submitted and what I told you was what they really need.
Yeah, we don't want to okay something that's not enough, and then you come back again because it's not enough. So 2.3, I guess, is the correct amount.
So you got the actual one from the surveyor?
I got the
Dimensions.
right, the correct dimension at the back rear corner of the garage to the property
Which is the
line.
closest
Which
one.
is the
that's the
closest one.
narrowest point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so the 2.3 is good.
Difference of.
And it looks like that's only gonna be a portion, right, of the side structure?
Yeah,
Yeah, even with the back.
Do we want to
Even
get
with the
that
back,
technical or give them 2.3 for all of it, Mike? That would be the closest to the property.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever done
So,
front
no,
and back,
right.
so,
No,
yeah, that's what we'll do.
okay.
I take it you're not gonna build out this way? No, I'm just kidding. All right, anything on 2?
Nope.
I have a question, though. You got an 8 by 8 foot porch that was there originally. Was there ever a variance for that, Harold? Because that's into the setback.
yeah, it's an older house that it's
Pre-existing?
unlikely that, yeah,
they
well.
have-
Could it be pre-existing
It
non-conforming?
could have been pre-existing non-conforming, but in that era, they probably didn't measure the porch,
Yeah,
and/or they probably just gave us a plus or minus of 50 feet, because they weren't instrument surveys
yeah,
back then.
tape maps, I know that
Right,
from
right.
what I do. Yeah.
So it's unlikely that if it was a violation, that it would have been caught. And I think the homes were built probably in the 60s there.
Okay. These came to our attention through neighbor town?
One of the town employees.
Okay, saw it.
Yeah, he lives right up the
By
street.
by how? Harold Lennon.
Town
Town employee.
employee saw it.
Drove by.
Oh, okay. So they don't need a building permit for that?
Oh, no,
technically?
Doesn't have.
and that was,
He didn't have one.
he didn't have
Yeah,
one,
okay,
yeah.
that's what I meant. Thought maybe you caught it through.
No, it wasn't an action. We
Oops, it was a double oops.
double looked, that's right. We failed to communicate that he wanted to build something, and then
Okay.
Okay. All right, anything else?
Do you run into a lot of this, Mike, in your profession? You know, where the lot lines are wrong or it's not, you know, because when you sell a house from one person to another,
Right.
it's gotta be pretty precise nowadays. Right?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, you know, back in the first 20 years they practiced, as I said, the Herald said, they didn't even show a lot of fences, driveways, they showed the structures.
Yeah.
That's about it, sometimes not even the porches. And then they were what they call a tape location map.
Yeah,
which is plus
I
or
think that's
minus
all they have on
inches,
our
so,
property.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, that was-
I've seen some plus or minus feet.
Is that right?
Yeah. Or at least based upon when I've been able to go back in history and take out the chronological maps that have been presented, you see it saying plus or minus 51 feet, and then it was actually 53 feet or 54 feet when an instrument was done.
Sure.
That would
Well,
explain why my fence on my back is 3 feet into my neighbor's property
Property.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very old.
As long as we got some time, what happened was basically everything back in the good old days, in the 70s, even the 80s, everything was kept in an in-house portfolio. So the local banks kept their mortgages.
Oh, and
No.
all the information too, rather than a
Yeah.
town hall or
Well, no,
a Sayers office?
when they loaned money, they kept the money, they kept their loans in a portfolio. So they
Okay.
took in, they paid, took in money on savings, paid an interest and lent it out at a higher rate, made money on the difference. But what happened was, back after World War II, the mortgage rates were 4%. So they still had a lot of loans out at 4 or 5, 6%. And then the rates, the passbook rates on savings were 5%. So they had all this money, they were actually losing money on it, and they started to fail. So then they went to a more national structured thing where they took the loans in and sold them to like pension funds, and took the money back and made money on servicing the monthly payments and just kept recirculating the money. Once they started selling them, there's certain standards nationally that you need to meet
You mean now?
to sell them, and one of those was an instrument survey map. So you
Okay.
couldn't sell a loan to anybody on that secondary market unless you had title insurance, which they never required, and a more precise instrument survey map. Those were the national standards. So then we went to that, and it's been like that ever since.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it picked up a lot of things that nobody knew about because they just didn't look at them.
Yeah.
Harold, when people...
Even when I first started working here in '87, it was very common to see standard tape location maps coming into the office.
Yeah. I mean, the cities, some of those properties have things into the street.
Right.
I mean, that just
Right.
nobody
And
ever
every once in a
bothered
while, I still see a map come in where they reference the center line of the roads, especially some of the older streets like Sweets Corners and
Yeah.
Northrop and places like that.
We still get tape location maps for plans, yeah.
Yeah, you-
Occasionally.
you-
Not as frequently as in the past, but
Right.
it used to be very commonplace. It was every other application, so.
A quick question. Not that it's going to bother me, but in the back of my house, my electricity comes from Creek Street. But in the back of my house, they have the poles for the whole complex in the back, so there's like a 10-foot right-of-way. Okay?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
In some cases,
I-
but there's a lot of areas, they don't have a
Specified.
physical width of an easement, they have a line easement.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is along the back line.
I was just gonna ask it, when you start putting up, say a shed, say my neighbor puts up a shed, okay, or I put up a shed, I don't need one, but do I have to go 10 foot from their line or
No.
10 foot from the neighbor's property line?
From the property line, not from the easement. You have to stay out of the easement, you don't have to have a setback from the easement.
Okay, that, because a question was asked by a neighbor
Yeah.
on that, and
Yeah.
I says, I believe it's a property line, but,
Yeah,
I'll
we
find
don't
out.
double dip on that.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, the holder of the easement has the right to remove anything that encroaches.
Yeah,
on
it is on the easement.
Right.
But I mean, the 10 foot, Mike, I mean, if it's
Right, no, 10
almost a
foot's
10 foot
setback.
easement, like he says, it could be a line easement, but I think there's like a 10 foot easement.
Most of the
Because at
older,
one time, all the trees were in their easement, and they kept falling over and knocking out the electricity, which was in back of me. It wasn't my electricity, it was in back of me.
Carol
So
said,
they-
most of the older easements don't even they don't have a dimension, just along the rear lot line.
Yeah,
or
I
the side
think
lot
there is a
line.
10-foot easement
Well,
in the
there
back.
could
of
be.
I'm just saying. And so now they want to cut the trees down and drop them in my yard, and I went, no. You cut the trees down, you take them away.
Well, he told me
Your
that
trees, you know.
The reason they have it at 10 foot, like if there's like an electric line or something there, they put it 10 foot on one property line,
They
10 foot
try,
on the
yeah.
other, and that way if the equipment is more than 10 feet, they have leeway to go through on
Yeah,
both
right,
sides.
drive through,
Right.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that's what the problem is, if they
It
have
is.
to access it,
right.
so.
Yeah, I mean, but no, so the right of way is.
Okay.
The easement,
Interesting,
Yeah,
yeah.
the setbacks
Hey,
are
guys.
lot lines.
Thank
All
you.
right, how was everyone?
Very
Well,
good. How are
Be
you?
right back, I'm just gonna get some water.
Yeah, you used to see a lot of descriptions on center line. I never really understood why they did that, but until right away.
Well, years ago, a lot of these older streets, all they were cow paths. And then as more and more people developed off of them, they became more heavily used, and the population sort of demanded a little bit more durable area to walk on, to travel on, to move back and forth on. And, then you started seeing towns taking dedications of areas based upon use. Whereas a subdivision street,
Yeah.
there would have been a dedicated road.
Already, yeah.
But if you have a setback, and then the state call it on a state highway, and they change that setback, if your description is tied into the setback, doesn't that create a problem? Well, I guess it doesn't, because the state takes it.
Right, the state takes
Yeah,
it.
right.
So I guess that
It
doesn't create a
supersedes
problem.
all.
Yeah, the state takes it, and in a lot of cases creates a nonconformity issue.
Right, we've seen
We
that.
kind of went over these,
Because
Dan,
we've
we're
had
just.
a number
Yeah,
of
no, that's
things
fine.
come in
General.
where,
Do we
they're
need
looking
life
for
in
a
general?
5-foot
Do we need to close
variance,
the work session?
and the state had taken 10 feet from them.
So, turns off the camera.
So, just to bring you up to speed, we've gone through the two matters with questions.
Okay.
Andrews is gonna take the main part of Carol's.
Oh, right. Okay, good.
That's about it.
All right.
We approved the minutes for the last two, for July and
Good.
October. You have any changes to that? You can-
Nope. I went over them. Oh, there was something that was inconsequential, I think. Give me a minute. Let me fold the page back. Yeah, I did. I think it was just a typo.
Oh, was it a typo? Would you mind circling it for me?
Don't look so
It's already
sad.
circled. Can you believe that?
May I, do you want the minutes anymore, or no?
No, you
I
can just
need
take
to
that.
submit them for
It's
publication.
just, you're missing an A.
Thank you very much.
A minus.
Oh,
you
yeah,
get
it's
on your-
AR, it's the word R, okay.
Yeah.
That was, oh, I missed that one, thank you. Yeah, because I'll have to submit these for publication, so.
Who used to text me?
R.
Arr. I thought you were just trying to be a pirate, that's all.
All right, so if we can, for purposes of the camera, we can close the work session and take a brief recess and reconvene in 15 minutes for the public hearings.
Okay.
All right? Great. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Penfield Zoning Board of Appeals. Our meeting tonight's going to take place in two parts. Our first part will be the public hearing. We will ask applicants to come up to the podium and give us name and address, and then explain to the board why the relief requested should be granted. Once the applicant is done, board members will likely have some questions, and then we'll ask anyone in the audience that cares to speak about the application to come up and also give name and address and speak about the application. After the public hearings are adjourned, we'll take a brief recess and reconvene in the back of the room to deliberate on tonight's applications and to also take care of any business the board may have. Members of the public are welcome at both sessions, the public hearings and the deliberations, although the deliberations are times reserved generally for conversation amongst board members with staff, and with legal counsel if legal counsel is present. Once again, you're welcome to stay. We have a very brief agenda tonight, so we shouldn't be very long. But if for whatever reason you decide you want to leave, you have homework or something along those lines, you can call tomorrow and find out what action, if any, the board took on a particular item. Every month I like to point out that it's the town's good practice and policy to notify neighbors that live near the property being reviewed that the case is going to be heard. And the town does that by sending out postcards if you live within a certain distance, by requiring the applicant to post a sign, by posting the agendas on the internet, and also posting them on the board here and probably some other ways that I'm not aware of. But we think it works really well. It gets people that are interested to come in and speak their mind, and that's exactly what's supposed to happen, so we certainly welcome that. With that being said, I'd ask everyone to rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Thank you. Harold, may we have the first application, please?
Application number 1, Kenneth Altfather, 31 Millford Crossing, Penfield, New York, 14526. Requests an area variance from Article 3-37-A of the code to allow the construction of a garage addition with less setback at 31 Millford Crossing. The property is owned by Kenneth and Lorellei Altfather and is zoned R-1-20. This is SBL number 109.04-4-80. This is application number 14Z-0047.
Okay, come on up. Sure.
Yeah, right up there. Yeah.
Good evening. My name's Ken Altfather. I reside at 31 Millford Crossing since April of this year. And the storage facility, the garage facility we have there is a two-car garage. We're looking to add some additional storage capability for deck furniture and such. So that would enable us to park 2 cars into the garage. We did explore trying to expand the garage backwards. The roof line associated with the house and the way that it comes together make that fairly cost prohibitive to do that expansion. As a result, we looked at we'd like to expand the garage to the side. We're doing this in order to maintain the character of the neighborhood, which does have a deed restriction of no outside sheds or detached sheds in the neighborhood. The neighborhood already currently has many houses with this sort of expansion on the side of the garage. So we believe doing this investment, which is considerably more than a detached shed, maintains the character of the neighborhood and the aesthetic nature of the house. And we're asking for a small variance against the setback. We have roughly right 16 and a half or so feet from the current property line to the side of the garage. We would like to add a 8-foot addition to the side on part of the garage to create this storage capability. And that would require roughly right a 2.5 footish easement over the setback limit so that we could make that 8 feet dimension. So I think that's what I have to present.
Questions from the board?
Can you describe what the exterior of the addition is going to look like? Will it match the house existing, or?
Yep, we intend to match the siding with the siding that's originally on the house, and the roof line will tie in right to the side of the garage, shingled, architectural shingles.
Have you spoken to your neighbor in terms of how they feel about, the addition going on there and being closer to their house?
We have, matter of fact, just the other day, we discussed with him what we were doing, and there wasn't any concern on his part.
And you said it's primarily to store things that you would normally leave outside if you didn't have a place to store it inside?
Yes, correct. Winter storage and workbench, tools, that kind of thing.
And you already said you were considered going out the back, but it was cost prohibitive. That's really all I have, unless someone else has something.
Can you just explain the difference between going out the back and going on the side that you picked? I mean, are you putting a roof over it, or?
Yeah, it's going to, so the original piece that we tried was our house is deeper than our garage. And so to extend the garage also meant tying into an existing roof line that's over a family room. And the way that roof line comes together with the roof line of the garage, which is actually quite tall, the roof on the garage is a fairly steep pitch. I think 1 foot for 1 foot, 12 pitch, and so it's fairly steep there. And trying to tie in that roof line on an extension with the roof line coming from the family house, the family room, really created a interesting dynamic there that was going to add considerably to the cost of doing that addition.
Where on the side, you're just gonna have a little roof coming off the side?
Yeah, just a peaked roof that ties right into the side of the garage. So it just ties into the existing roof.
What's gonna happen with the window on the side? Is that being moved, or?
I was just going to move that laterally out to the outer surface.
Yeah, so this extension's actually going slightly beyond the window?
On
Where
the front side,
yeah.
just front of the window, yes.
As it
So the
exists.
garage is, I think, 22 feet long. this this garage would be 16 feet long, starting from the back coming forward. So, what do you have, 8 feet still of the front of the garage remaining there. And there's also, we have also landscaping that comes around already existing in front of that tall conifer things that
Those
you
look like a
won't even see
couple.
it.
Those are stay in place?
Yes, there, yep.
Thank you.
It's usually referred to as a bump out, am I correct?
Yeah.
Because that's what it does, it bumps out the side of the garage. And in
Exactly.
your area, it's common, isn't it? Like,
It is, yeah.
the house next door has one?
Exactly right, yes.
So it's
Exactly
not
right.
unique to your house, it won't be. Most of the houses in the area have the bump outs.
Yeah, it's very true to the architecture that already exists in the neighborhood, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else? Anyone in the audience care to speak about this? Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Application number 2, Eduard Chernavin, 1696 Qualtrough Road, 14625, requests an area variance from Article 3-3-37-A of the code to allow the construction of a porch with less setback at 1696 Qualtrough Road. The property is owned by Eduard and Olga Chernavin and is zoned R-1-20. This is SBL number 108.20-2-46. This is application number 14Z-0059. Come on up. Bring everybody up.
That's right. Got to get him on TV.
That's what I told them. Oh, great, thanks.
My name is Eduard Chernavin. This is my wife Olga Chernavin. We live at 1696 Qualtrough Road. And we want to extend making the front porch bigger to the existing one due to deterioration. And in the wintertime, the front step gets icy from the water coming off the roof. And with the screen door, you got to step back a step to walk into the house. And with the ice being there, sometimes it's real difficult to get into the house without slipping and falling, especially with 2 kids. And that's why I want to make the front porch bigger. I want to extend it, I think 4 or 5 feet past the old one was, and make a wooden one with a PVC railing around it, and the sidewalk that would come out into the driveway, it would be a bigger sidewalk. That way, when my wife pulls up, when she gets out, she's not stepping into 4 feet of snow in the wintertime. That way she could get out with the kids and there'll be a sidewalk to get her to the house.
Let me just ask you a couple questions as to my understanding of what you have and how you got there. I think you told me you started in our conversation this afternoon with a 8x8 slab concrete, or 8x8 porch of concrete.
Yeah, it was just a step and kind of like I think it was 4 feet from the house, I believe. Then just one step and then a 2 foot. You come down, and it's 2 foot going out into the driveway. And it's going right along the house.
So the depth of it from the front door to the edge was how
It was
wide?
12 feet. From the front door towards the road is 12
Old
foot.
one?
No, the new one is.
No, I'm talking about the old one that you had
I
before.
believe, I think it was 8 foot from the house out. Yes.
And I think, and on the side, it ended right at the front door, right?
Yes,
The
it
left
ended-
side of the front door?
Yes, it ended right at the door, so you can't step to the left side to open the screen door to get into the house either.
Now you want to extend this new porch 2 feet to the left,
To the left, yes.
2
and-
more feet.
Yes,
So there's some clearance there for the door to open
yes, and 4 feet out from the,
from where the old one was?
yes.
Okay. And there is a deck or a porch there now, right? So you started? it.
Yes, I did.
Okay. And that's the porch that you want us to approve?
Yes.
Can you describe for me the way that porch is attached to footers? Are there footers?
Yes, there's 2 footers out on the outside, and there's 2 footers on towards the house, against the house. They're attached to, the footers are 48 inches deep, and I believe 12 inches wide. And they're attached on the top, and and the porch is also attached to the house by a 2x10 against the house.
How about on the end furthest from the house?
I got 2x8s running from the house out, and I got a double 2x10 running on the inside of the 4x4s. Then I got another 2x10 on the outside of it.
Attached to the ground?
It's sitting on top of the concrete.
But not attached.
No. Well, it's attached by the metal 4x4 construction post they have for it.
Okay. And how did you determine the depth that you wanted to build at?
Well, I went from, because I want to make it the sidewalk up to the porch as far from the house as, not as possible, but far enough where my wife could pull up and get out into the sidewalk and walk up towards the house instead of making the porch way back and having a longer sidewalk. And that way, I live on a busy street, and that way my daughter could even ride her small bike on the front porch.
But don't you have some room there between where the steps are now, the wooden steps?
Yes.
And where your concrete slab ends? Couldn't you move it, say, 2-3 feet towards the house?
But then it's gonna make the sidewalk, I'm gonna have to make the sidewalk a lot bigger going out to the driveway. So what I wanna do there where the old concrete is now, I wanna make a flower bed, like my neighbor across the street did. You got
Uh-huh.
a small flower bed there, and the sidewalk is just gonna come off there just from the steps. It's gonna kinda widen out towards the driveway. So when my wife pulls up, she could get out of the car and not be in snow in the wintertime.
But it is possible to make a sidewalk straight across without,
Yes,
okay. Is it also possible to shorten the depth? I mean, obviously it's possible.
Yeah.
What would you have to do that?
tear the whole thing apart.
The whole thing or just the end?
No, the whole thing.
Why?
Because the joists, the floor joists run from the house all the way out to the outside of the porch. So I'll have to tear everything apart, cut them down, and I'm gonna have to pour new footers for it and redo everything.
How much would you estimate that would cost you to do?
Probably close to $500-600.
Okay.
We also have a problem with the other step. It was deteriorating and the water was getting into our basement and into our house. We also had ants getting into the house because of the concrete was being worn. And then the sidewalk that's currently in existence that was connected to the old slab of concrete that we had. It was right next to the room that's attached to the garage, and the window's right there. So we also have problems with bugs and other things getting in there and water getting in there. So by moving it out, we could build a buffer zone and also prevent those problems because the walls start to crumble on the inside and things like that that we're having issues with that we're trying to fix.
Why didn't you remove all the concrete then? I
If
mean,
I
you
were
left
to-
a portion of the original concrete.
The lower step, yes.
Isn't that going to cause the same problems? you're
No, what I'm
describing?
gonna do is along the house, I'm gonna chip away. I'm gonna put aluminum flashing along it, and I'm gonna seal along the bottom, so that way there's no water getting against the house when I
Okay.
put the flower bed in there.
You haven't done that yet, but you're
No,
going to?
yes,
Okay. And what's, you have posts there now,
yes.
and what, are you going to, what color's the final project going to be?
The wood is gonna be just a natural wood color, and the posts and the railings, vinyl railings are gonna be just white.
And you're going to cover the wooden posts with white?
Yes,
So you're gonna
everything's gonna be all PVC railings and post covers.
All right, and you're leaving the natural look of the wood, just finishing it, just staining it?
Just sealing it, just a regular wood sealer, yes.
Okay. And you have, what, 3 steps there going up?
Yes,
Okay, and that's all in place as is?
yes. I'm just gonna, when I do the sidewalk, I'm gonna remove them and put the concrete underneath also.
Are there any other houses in the neighborhood that have similar porches, a similar distance away from the house that you know of?
Not as big, not as far away from the house, but there is porches that do come out 8 feet away from the house.
We also had neighbors come up to us and say that they like the look and they wish that they could do something similar on their own property as well, because it is more accessible and does look nice. It adds to the appeal of the house.
That's all I have.
Anybody else?
Yeah, just one, you talked about putting railings on it.
Yes.
And your children riding their bikes. You're not just gonna put a railing on it, right? You're gonna put spokes?
Yes,
so it can't
I'm
fall
buying
off.
I'm buying the whole kit. Well, I already got it. It's a whole kit. It's a top railing, bottom railing, and there's spindles.
Spindles,
Yes.
okay, yeah. The way you said you put a railing on it was
Oh.
like on the top and then,
No, there's gonna be spindles going down
Gotcha.
like a regular.
Don't the spindles hold up the railing, Joe?
no,
No?
no. Spindles are decorative.
I should know better than that. Anybody else? Anyone in the audience care to speak about this?
Come on.
Need you to come up,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Just.
Cindy Stottle. I live at 1686 Qualtrough Road, about 4 houses down. Went over to their house last night. The porch is really a nice construction, and it was so comfortable to be able to stand on the porch and not be squishing around like the little steps that are at my house. So it is, to me, a tremendous improvement.
And
So-
you like the look of it visually?
Yes, I do. I mean, from what I've seen so far, yes. I do like it.
Okay, well, thank you for, you have a question?
No,
No, but thanks for coming. Yeah,
I just
Joe
had-
wants to, we have some other neighbors that
Yeah,
have
I
said
just
similar.
want to mention and put in the record that there's, the applicant gave us 9 references that say that they like the look of the porch, including you. I'm not sure if you're on this or not, but,
I am.
okay, so the 9, including her, that like what they're going to do.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Very good. All right, the 2 public hearings are therefore adjourned. Do we need a recess, guys? Anybody? No? All right, well, then, so we'll just reconvene in the back of the room in about 30 seconds. Thank you. Let's go to number 1.
Let's see, we'll make a motion to declare a negative declaration for type 2, no significant impact found.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then I'll make a motion to approve the 2-foot 3-inch variance for the garage addition.
I'll second.
Any further comments, thoughts?
Sounds like it's gonna be, it's in character with the neighborhood. And I think it's, in terms of, if you're gonna store stuff, they don't allow storage there outside.
Right.
For sheds, so rather than leaving everything outside next to their house, which they could very well do, it'd probably look a whole lot nicer to have it inside.
And it's very common in the area.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, number 2.
I'm going to move that this is a type 2 action, and there's no significant environmental impacts.
Second.
Further discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Okay,
I'm going to move to approve this. I can see what putting a new deck accomplishes with regard to widening it, a little more safety, opening the door. I prefer that the width wasn't as deep as it is, but I don't think it's a deal killer, frankly. And I think it's going to look nice when it's done, so I don't think it's going to affect the neighborhood to the point where we need to be concerned, so I would move to approve.
Second.
further comments on that? All right, we have a motion to approve and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Congratulations.
Everybody's
You're all set.
happy tonight.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Well, good presentations. Well,
Yep.
applications were
Thorough.
thorough. Anything else, Harold? Are we good for next month, or?
Well, I haven't really officially shut down
Night now.
the acceptance of applications for next month yet, because I'll try to squeeze as many. out
Yeah,
as
for
we
sure.
can
Okay,
But I can take them probably right up to the 30th of October.
all right.
And still get applications scheduled in the legal newspaper, so.
How are we doing so far?
let's see, we have.
2 or 3?
3,
We have one for Delta Sonic,
and then, oh wait, and then we have Woodland Way.
right?
Is there a third one that we had in there?
Right.
That one file was so thick, it was hard to tell.
We may have 3 right now.
Which Delta Sonic?
Empire Boulevard.
Oh, okay, well, at least that's a little bit of a change.
Oh, it is a different address.
Oh, okay.
Is it a different
But
side?
there are, at least,
I-
there's 2 possible submissions.
I've had 2 or 3 people that have been
Yeah.
talking about.
Good, well, that's fine.
Like-
I mean, it's, tonight, 7:25, and we're done, so,
But,
okay.
I'm really pushing people to get onto the agenda
Right.
for
Oh,
November.
there
I
are
understand.
That guy with
G&G,
the rabbit and tortoise thing.
rabbit and tortoise.
He wants a second
Not
barn
chickens?
on
Not
a
deal with chickens,
plot of
though?
land.
Remember that one on
Penfield
104?
I do.
You're running it out.
He does tortoise and hare races, and there's already a
Oh, I
barn
was
there
joking.
close to the road.
Yeah, no,
It's on Penfield Road, 26.
I know one, yeah. With 3, definitely, yes.
Okay.
For sure.
They'll be fun ones.
Yeah, it sounds interesting.
Okay,
Still on
Know that
TV.
existed.
right.
I
All right.
didn't either. I didn't.
Anything else, folks?
I think we're all set.
Okay, well done, and then we'll have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And all those in favor? And see you next month. Thank you very much.
Almost feel bad.